Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Today we're going to talk about UFOs all over the place these days. It seems like everyone's seeing UFOs everywhere, and in the continental United States, from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. There's the sightings that have been ongoing in the United Kingdom over military installations. It just seems like it's not ending. There's just been a lot of things happening lately. Everyone's seeing these things. I've talked to some people personally who've seen some objects. Some of my friends have seen them, and this is just people telling me things. I mean, I've had some email sent to me by certain people that have seen objects, strange objects hovering in the sky. I don't know what's going on. It just seems like there is something happening lately. What that is, I do not know. Is it extraterrestrial / NHI in some cases? Probably. Is it military experiments in other cases? Probably. Is it possible that they're just drone hobbyists out there? Possibly. We really don't know what the answers are, and we're not getting anything basically from the authorities. We just have no idea what's happening right now. Now, I'm going to start off with something there was a case that I just was made aware of a couple of days ago. And this was from John Billingslea. He's an attorney from Los Angeles, California. And he filmed this giant triangular-shaped, pyramid-shaped object hovering up in the sky near his house, just passing there, just moving along like no one's business. And he has no explanation for it other than it's unidentified, and it doesn't look like any sort of conventional aircraft whatsoever. I'll just play this video quick and you can see for yourself. As you can see, that object is very strange. It looks very similar to actually objects that were seen hovering above the USS Omaha back in 2019. We've seen those images, those pyramid-shaped objects that some debunkers tried to say were stars in the sky. This obviously, what John Billingslea filmed, was definitely not a star. It was moving across the sky, and then it eventually just disappeared. And he said it was gigantic. He said the video doesn't give it justice, and he has a lot of videos, and he has his own YouTube channel called LatchkeyHustle. I will leave a link to that channel in the description. So I check it out when you get a chance. He has a lot of different videos of objects moving across the sky that are no explanation for them. Some of them are moving extremely fast, and he has a large collection of videos now on his YouTube channel, LatchkeyHustle, and I will leave the link there. But this object that we're seeing right here, right now on the screen, this latest one that he's filmed, I have no explanation for it. Could it be extraterrestrial / NHI? Of course it could be, because as we all know now that they are most certainly real. There is most certainly a non-human intelligent presence on this planet, so this could obviously be one of their craft. And I just want to talk about something that I posted on Sunday. I posted a short video just on the YouTube channel. It was about a 4-minute long video talking about orb objects that were seen in over Wharton Airfield in the United Kingdom, and that was video footage that was filmed by UK resident Rob Holmes. And there were some people that commented on that video in the comment section on YouTube, and they were saying that it was all that they were seeing there were basically searchlights from this nearby Blackpool illuminations. It's some they're shining spotlights up in the air, and that's what we're seeing. But no, that's not what the case is here. There were some still images that I showed there too in that video, where you could see the objects that Rob was trying to point out that he was seeing that night. He said it was hard to focus in on them with the camera for some reason, but every now and then he did get a glimpse of them, and he was able to capture them on camera. And and those still images show those objects. He said that he was seeing orbs, and he did say that there were searchlights down below, but they weren't from this black pool. Actually, he sent me this email message. I'll read this some of this email that he just sent me. He says, I expected some black pool backlash, as there is a very famous seaside strip that has a couple of miles of lights every year along the promenade. This is not that. He said the photo is indeed of the orb blinking lights, not a projection or a ground lights or searchlight. Very different properties, both visual and in its activity. It was so hard to get a focus on it with video. The photo was from zooming in with the night setting and clouds were blurring the image. The photo is the best observation close-up, and that is an object, I think, and it's not a reflection. So he's thinking that was an object that he was seeing. Black pool illuminations were in the opposite direction and are around 6 or more miles away. They switched those lights off in the late evening. So he was not talking, and there were other searchlights there in that video, but there were objects that he was seeing in addition to those searchlights that you see moving through the sky. There was objects that he was seeing, orbs, and he was able to get a still picture, a couple of still pictures of them, and that's what you're seeing right now on the screen. So I just wanted to clarify that. But these kind of things are being seen by people all over the place. I just received an email message today from one of my subscribers on YouTube, Christopher, and he says, Jim, I wanted to let you know that my wife and son and I saw 2 UFOs last night. He's talking about Tuesday night. Nothing super exciting, but there were 2 orb star-like objects slightly floating east, and one by one they just faded out fast after 2 seconds. Like I said, it's not some crazy light show, but I'll be damned if I know what they could have been. And I've heard this from other people, too, that I know, that they've been seeing strange objects in the sky. Orbs, circular, round orbs. And I have to report this. I didn't report this initially when it happened, but a couple of weeks ago, I finished doing a podcast, and when I was done, it was nighttime, and I walked out on my front porch, and I saw one of these orbs, too. And I wasn't going to bring it up, but being that everyone else is bringing it up and they're seeing them too, I'm going to bring it up now. I'm not sure what it was, or I have no explanation for it, but it was strange. I have told my family members about this. I also talked to Scott Roeder, the crime scene reconstruction expert. I talked to him about this recently, and it was very strange. I walked out on my front porch and I'm just standing there. And I'm looking out across at this empty lot, and above this empty lot, I see this big orange orb just floating there in the sky. And I'm thinking it's an airplane, and I'll see the blinking lights in a few seconds. And it never happened. This orb was just moving across the sky very slowly, and it seemed to almost pause. And then it did a U-turn right in front of me, and then it just started climbing up on a steep angle. And as it climbed up, the higher it climbed up, it just vanished. It just disappeared. It was very strange. A lot of people are seeing these orbs in the sky, and I have seen one now too. Was it something that was man-made? I don't know. It could have been. I don't think it was a drone. I live here in Pennsylvania in the middle of nowhere, and I don't think anyone was operating a drone. I don't think a drone could be that high, as high as I saw it. And the way it just made that U-turn and started climbing up, it was pretty neat. Was it as memorable as my 1994 incident? No, not even close. But it does fall in line with what other people have been seeing and talking about. So I have seen one of these orbs recently too. I have no explanation for it. At first I thought it was an airplane. If I would have known what it was about to do, I would have pulled out my cell phone. But I never saw anything blinking on this thing. It seemed like a solid orange ball, and it was just, like I said, it looked like it was moving toward me, and then it just did a U-turn and did this steep climb and then just vanished. And it was on a clear night, so I have no explanation for that. But this is something that a lot of people have been seeing, and of course, it's all over the place, all over the internet these days. There are things that people are reporting. For instance, in New Jersey, there are a lot of people are seeing what they're calling them mystery drones. Nobody knows who's operating these drones. Here's a tweet from Think Tank on Twitter, and I'm just going to play this little video that he has. And you can see And this was something that was just recently filmed in the skies in New Jersey. This is not only these objects have been seen over Donald Trump's golf course in New Jersey as well. Some of these objects, people are seeing them every night. They're just hanging out in the sky every night, and that's what we're showing right here, right now. They're calling them mystery drones. Nobody knows who's operating them. Apparently, the FBI has been investigating this to find out what's going on. Some people have been afraid of these things because they're just out there hovering over their houses, hovering near their properties all night long. And then they go away in the morning when it gets bright out. Nobody knows who. Are they drones? This is the one issue I have. And they're car size. That's the other thing. They're very large drones. So usually those kind of drones that are that size are things that are not operated by civilians. But who knows? Nobody really knows. And here's the other thing: people are calling them drones. Are they drones? How do you know it's a drone? This is the one issue I have. I mean, to me, right? If you don't know what it is, then isn't it a UFO? I mean, how do you, unless you're able to see the serial numbers through a pair of binoculars, maybe. I mean, but I don't know how you could just go saying that they're drones. Nobody knows what they are. They're UFOs, but they do look like drones, very large drones, albeit. So there was that, and there's stuff all over the place. In Dallas, Texas, over Texas, there were multiple pilots, commercial pilots, seeing UFOs and talking about it. Here was some audio that was going back and forth between some of the pilots. And here was something on Twitter from Disclosure Party. Multiple pilots have reported that UFOs have been flying over Texas for hours, and this is just from a couple nights ago. And here's one of the quotes: "They split positions. They actually moved. They get super bright and then go completely dim." Okay, I'm going to just play this audio here.
No, I'm 413, got a question. Go ahead. If the river's MOA is hot, you got anybody messing around over there?
It is cold. Well, I was curious why you asked.
It's going to sound a little weird, but we keep asking about the MOAs we keep passing because we're following these two kind of lights that are up above us that are kind of jogging back and forth left and right for the past like half hour.
Really? Yeah, I don't see anything on radar, and no, river's just not active.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, Charlie 1757, we've been watching them for about an hour or two in the northwest skies.
They were really
weak as well.
Oh. Way up high?
Split positions. They actually moved. It's the first time I've seen them change relative positions.
That's weird. Are they way up high?
Real close.
Sorry, Block, you say they're close in to you, or they're up high?
Oh, I'd put them about 100 miles out in space.
Gotcha.
Agreed.
So what were they seeing? What's that? What are these things that are flying high above the aircraft? What are they seeing? This is happening everywhere right now, everywhere. And you have to wonder what is going on here. Is it something to do with extraterrestrial / NHI? Is it something to do with governments? Is it something to do with drone hobbyists, tricksters, maybe playing games on people? Because maybe some drone hobbyists out there, or maybe it's a combination of all of it. I have no idea. A lot of questions and there's no answers. And here was an article from Vice, and this is about the FBI investigating car-sized drones, which are spotted over New Jersey. We'll pick up the article a little bit down here. It says, since mid-November, large mysterious drones have been hovering over North Jersey, alarming residents and perplexing officials. While both the FBI and Morris County Sheriff's Department insist there's no known threat, that doesn't mean there isn't an unknown threat. At least that's how my brain interprets it. Nevertheless, they are actively investigating the unidentified flying objects. There is no advisable immediate danger to the public at this time, and the Sheriff's Office, along with many law enforcement agencies, are working in partnership on this matter, Morris County Sheriff James Gannon said in a statement on Facebook. Other Morris and Somerset County officials released a joint statement about monitoring the drone activity, explaining that county and local law enforcement agencies are aware of the recurring reports of drone activity around Morris and Somerset counties and acknowledge the public's concern about these repeated sightings. As for the FBI, we are working with our state state and local partners on the reported drone activity, a representative said. While these drones might not seem like a huge deal, officials are concerned because of their proximity to the election. Not to mention, it's not exactly comforting to witness several UFOs in the sky, especially after the recent hearings about alleged classified programs working to detect, quarantine, and transfer UFO data away from the public. Not to mention, there were literally glowing orbs hovering above the United States Capitol building last week. And that was something else we've been talking about lately. There were UFOs seen in Washington, D.C., hovering over the Capitol. They're all over the place right now. Everyone's seeing them. And nobody has any answers at this point, as far as I could tell. Some of these things they look like drones. The ones in New Jersey, the video that I've seen there, they do appear like they're drones. And when you look at the image here that was captured on for this article that was in Vice, I mean, the object here, it looks like a drone. That's what it looks like. And then you look at some of these other objects, like the one that John Billingslea sent to me. That video looks like a pyramid-shaped object. That's what it looks like. What are they? What's going on? And then there's other objects like the one I saw and other people saw. They look like orbs. What's happening here? I don't know. It could be a combination of all of these things all of these could be some military experiments. Could be something like that. It could be some people playing games with their drones, just trying to get a reaction. Could be that, and it could be real extraterrestrial or non-human intelligent operated craft of some sort. And that could be the case. I mean, that's not outside the realm of possibilities. And the other thing is, like, a lot of times with these orbs, there have been cases over the years where some people have seen these orbs up close, and in some cases they actually see beings sitting inside them, little gray aliens. There was several cases like that I read about over the years. In fact, there was a show I was just watching recently. There was a YouTube channel, Beyond Creepy, and he did an episode on there about two cases that occurred in Pennsylvania. One of them was what happened in July of 2012, where a person named Dennis Green, which is a pseudonym, was going home late from work one night, and when he got home, he saw these weird lights near his house where he lived with his parents, and the lights went out like somebody hit a switch, and he didn't see anything. Then he went in the house. The dogs were carrying on, and when he looked out the window, he saw these orbs outside. These two orbs, and inside these orbs were these very small, 3.5 to 4 foot tall alien creatures in these hovering orbs. And then he saw these taller alien creatures walking around. In addition to the orbs, they're on the ground. These taller creatures walking around. And he went out. He grabbed an object to go out. He was going to hit them, I guess. And when he went out the door, he turned a corner. Next thing you know, he conked out, and he woke up 2 hours later, and his clothes was on backwards. His shirt was on the wrong way. It was like he must have got abducted, and they must have done something to him, took his clothes off, and when they put the clothes back on, they didn't put them on the right way, and he had no idea what happened. But that's what he saw. He saw two orbs, and inside of those orbs were little gray aliens, 3.5 foot to 4 feet tall. And then in addition to that were these taller, shadowy creatures. I'll leave a link to that channel, Beyond Creepy, if you haven't seen that yet. That was pretty interesting. But there's lots of stories like this. So you have to wonder what's happening here, folks. Are they? Is this the beginning? Are the aliens themselves starting to disclose this to us? And what's going on with all of these? If it's aliens or if it's a mixture, why is it a mixture? Why are objects appearing all over these military installations? And then you have drones appearing over in the skies, apparent drones, car-sized drones, hovering in the skies in New Jersey. Is it some sort of a subterfuge to make people think, oh, see, it's just somebody operating drones, and we're going to get an answer for some of them at some point, and we're not going to get answers for others at the same time, and then we'll go on to believe, oh, well, if they were drones in Jersey, then that must explain what people were seeing out in Los Angeles, or maybe that's what people were seeing. Those pilots were seeing flying over Texas, and maybe that's what people were seeing over those military installations over the UK. Maybe that's what we'll get. Maybe the answer here, what's happening is that there are objects flying around all of a sudden. So what the military does, they send up some drones, right? And this helps change the narrative because they look like they're drones, right? Like those car-sized drones over Jersey. Oh, forget about that. Those orbs, that was probably just a drone. You were seeing it from far away. That explains all of it. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're trying to change the story here or something. Who knows? I have no idea. All I do know is that there's objects being seen all over the place these days. And I myself saw one recently myself. And it was just about 2 weeks ago when it happened. And I have, like I said, there's other people sending me stuff here, telling me about the objects that they're seeing. They're all over the place. And in fact, Scott Roeder told me that he saw something himself. He saw something too that he couldn't explain. So keep your eyes on the skies when you go outside these days. I think that could be another thing here. Maybe because UFOs is in the public consciousness a lot. Maybe that's why people are starting to see them more often. I have no idea. Or maybe the reason we're seeing them so much more these days is because the aliens are making some sort of a move. I don't know. They're gearing up for something, and they're going to spill the beans for us because our government officials, doesn't seem like they have any plans to do that themselves. They keep denying it over and over again, as we talk about ad nauseum, just about every podcast I do. Anyway, moving on, I want to get caught up on some of the recent Spotify polls. And I'm going to start with one I already did before. This was for the episode. There's more votes now. This is for the episode UFOs Appear Over Washington / Elizondo Slams Arrow / The Right Side of UFO History. I asked this question. Are you pleased that the debunker cult is in the process of getting vanquished to the dustbin of history? 31 votes to this point. 5 people, or 16.1%, say no. I guess there's some people out there that don't like the idea of the UFO debunkers getting vanquished to the dustbin of history. I do. I like the idea because I don't like people being lied to, and it's all that is. I mean, that's all it is. It's just people. Debunkers are just lying to other people about this reality. There's something here. There's no question about it. And the majority, 26 people, or 83.9%, say yes, they are pleased that the debunker cult is in the process of getting vanquished to the dustbin of history. Every day that goes by, we're getting closer to that moment, folks. And with all the stuff that I've just been talking about, all these objects in the sky, some of those objects, I'm sure, like the one John Billingslea film, what the hell is that? A giant freaking pyramid floating around in the sky. What is it? I don't think I'll be surprised if it is something man-made. There's no explanation for it, and there's all kinds of people are seeing these things all over the place. All right, for the most recent episode, UFO debunker and crook Brian Dunning posts vile comment on X disparaging James Fox and Emily Trim, and I asked this question: which word of the choices below best describes Brian Dunning's behavior on X toward James Fox and the late Emily Trim? I don't even want to get into that much more here. I already talked about it a lot. Dunning, of course, made a vile comment. I thought it was pretty vile on X, basically accusing James Fox of taking advantage of Emily Trim because she was mentally ill. Emily Trim, of course, just passed away. She was one of the witnesses to the Ariel School incident. There were only seven slots I could put a word in here in these polls on Spotify. There's other words that came to mind too. That it wasn't just that. I mean, I could have used disturbing, ugly, but you had to draw a line at 7. So let's see what people say. What's the best word that describes his behavior on Twitter? Dunning, the debunker, and also convicted felon. Okay, 2 people, or 6.9%, say it was revolting. 3 people, there were a couple of different 3s. 3 people, or 10.3%, say nauseating. Another 3 people, or 10.3%, say disgusting. And another 3 people, or 10.3%, say gross. Yeah, that's I agree with all of that. 4 people, or 13.8%, said it was appalling. 6 people, or 20.7%, say repulsive. It was repulsive. Some people were repulsed by this comment. And the majority, 8 people, or 27.6%, say vile. I agree with all of these choices, actually, to be quite honest with you. Among the choices that I didn't have the room to include here, because I still believe that what Dunning did, what Dunning posted on there, was absolutely vile and totally uncalled for. And we had the reason for that show was to point out there has to be a reason for this. Like what's the underlying reason for this? And then you look at Dunning's past and you say, oh, okay, he was a convicted felon and he did this when he back in the day. So that helps explain why that comment was made. It helps explain it, and that's why I thought it was imperative to point out Dunning's criminal past, because that helps lessen the hurt that comment really was gives, the sting that it has. Because it's an ugly comment. It was totally uncalled for, and totally outside of beyond the pale. It's just rotten. Vile. But gross and disgusting, all of those words, revolting, all of them, it all meets the criteria for what he said. Anyway, I don't know what to say about all these objects that people are seeing in the skies right now. I think that sometimes that they are probably just drones. The ones in Jersey, they do look like large drones, but I don't know. I don't know. I think that you have to say UFO. I don't know how you could just say it's a drone. How do you know it's a drone? How do you know that's what it is? And how do you know they're unmanned? That's the other thing. You hear this a lot. You hear unmanned aerial UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, right? How do you know? How do you know that? Like, when people see an orb, if an orb is hovering out over military installations in the UK, and the government officials from the United States and the United Kingdom they tell you, well, they're unmanned aerial vehicles. Well, how do you know that for sure? How do you know that? If you don't even know what the objects are, how do you know they're unmanned, or better stated, unaliened? How do you know that they're unaliened? I don't know how you know that. I mean, based on some of the stories, some of the close-up encounters of some of these orbs that have occurred throughout the years, sometimes there are creatures seen in them. So what if there's creatures inside them operating for some reason? I don't know. So I don't know how you could say they're unmanned when you don't really know for sure. Because I don't know. If you don't know what the objects are and you're not sure if they're drones and you have no idea who's operating, how do you know they're unmanned? Like, please explain. I need that explanation. I want someone to provide that explanation that they're unaliened. Are they unaliened? I mean, how do you know this? I mean, is there some sort of a device that you have on the ground that tells you, oh, there's nobody in that? I want to know. How do you know this? Is there some sort of a life form scanner that you have that tells you, oh, no, there's nothing in there that's alive? I want to know how people know they're unmanned. There's no explanation for that. Only people just keep saying they're unmanned aerial vehicles. Are you sure? Are you positive? Where's the proof of that? Do you even know what the objects are? You don't even know what the objects are. You don't know who's operating them, right? You have no idea, and you're saying that they're unmanned. How do you know they're unmanned or unaliened or whatever? Un-ET'd. Un-NHI'd. How do you know? I don't know. How do you know? Anyway, that'd be nice to get the answer to that question, wouldn't it? Anyway, I want to say this. I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.